This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning. This is Jack from Charting the Markets Crypto, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Thursday, the 22nd of August. For my disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. Right, let's have a quick look at the new one today. So let's have a reload all tabs. All right. Doug asked about AVAX USD. So this is Avalanche. It's number 12 in terms of market capitalization. It's got about 10 billion, and it's listed a lot of the time as as the Ethereum killer because the transaction costs are lower, and the speed is faster. I think in both cases though, Solana actually is a better bet. And obviously has a much larger capitalization, but it's interesting. It charts pretty well. We've got this falling wedge, and we're pretty close to wedge resistance. But what I would say is that on the hourly chart, we've got a possible RSI 14 sell signal. No, sorry, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal that's fixed in the very short term. But you can see here, I've drawn this as a flag. Now, it could be that it's going to go straight through, but it could be that it's hitting flag resistance here, and this is a bearish overthrow before we go back and retest the low. I'm slightly wary about anything which is looking like this because it looks an awful lot like a bear flag. And when you see a bear flag, you'll quite often see a low retest, and obviously your better buying opportunity is at the low retest. We could see that here, not necessarily. There's quite a lot of excitement at the moment. Amazon's announced some stuff that it's going to be doing with Avalanche, and it may be that that's going to push it up. On the bigger picture, if it gets above this resistance here, which is pretty close to this declining resistance, I would say that there's pretty good odds that it is at least bottoming out. Now, would we need a retest? Not necessarily, because we've got this level here at 32.01, which would actually make quite a serviceable double bottom resistance. Here, I'll just draw that in. It's and that, so we've already got a potential pattern. So we don't need to see a retest in terms of seeing a pattern, but we've got quite a good possible double bottom resistance or IHS neckline here. I'm watching the resistance at this trend line, and I'm watching, in fact, it's got a 60-minute sell signal. It kind of looks like a bear flag at the moment, which is suggesting we might see a retest of 17.35. And on the bear scenario and the other cryptos, then of course that's the sort of thing that might happen while it was doing that. Let's have a look at the others. Bitcoin, we are back above the daily middle band, having failed to confirm the break the day before yesterday. So we're back above it and close back above it. We need another close above it to confirm the break. In terms of the hourly chart, no current divergence, and really hasn't done a great deal since it broke slightly over this declining resistance. Looking at Ethereum, on the daily chart, we're still below the daily middle band, and we haven't seen a break above that on either Ethereum or Solana. And we've still got a nice looking head and shoulders, which still hasn't broken down. You can see what I was talking about in terms of the extension of the right shoulder. Really, the next day is what it's got to break down while this still looks like a head and shoulder pattern. It may or may not do that. We're still in the inflection point, and all the comments I was making the last couple of days still apply. In terms of the daily chart on Solana, we're still below the daily middle band. We are still testing the daily middle band. Obviously, we've been spending a while thinking about it while we have been below it. I've got that at 144.53, and if we see a sustained break above it and convert it, same with Ethereum, then that switches the bias firmly to the bull side. In terms of the hourly chart, we've got no current divergence, and we are still thinking about trading this range between 152.17 and a sustained break below 136.12. This is basically our inflection point range. So get beyond it with any force and get beyond it at all on the upside, really, because the head and shoulders fails at 152.18, and then we get a break, but we haven't seen that break yet. So we shall see. All right, any questions, guys? Right on Avalanche, which is the one. Yeah, my my pleasure, Doug. Anything you want looked at, I will cheerfully look at. I'm not going to add Avalanche to the daily ones I look at, but if you want to see the current situation on it, just ask, and I'll show you. No problem. And any other ones that you find particularly interesting, just mention. And assuming that they're in the top 20 and I can chart them, I'll chart them for you. And have a look. The other one I wanted to mention, which I did some research in but didn't firm up, was Binance. That's the only one of the top 5, excluding the tethered one, that I'm not covering at the moment. But of course, I asked a couple of questions about that. That's because it's closely tied in with the Binance platform, which has had a lot of fraud on it and is very tied to the Binance exchange. So that's one reason that's fairly popular and yet somehow unappealing. I can add that later if people want it, and it's an interesting one, but it's not necessarily one that you should be putting your money into, really, because if the Binance exchange went down in the way that other exchanges, which have had a bit of a dodgy rep, has gone down, then of course the Binance coin would go down with it. Or at least it would go down an awful lot with it. So it makes it quite a dangerous hold. All right, in that case, I think that's a wrap, guys. I'm not here tomorrow. I'm taking my son skydiving. He's doing the skydiving, not me. I have a dodgy knee, but he's crossing it off his bucket list early, and should have some fun. So if the day's looking particularly interesting, I'll do an intraday webinar. But it'll need to look interesting. It could look interesting, though, because we could have a break in either direction. If we do, I will do one. All right, great. Catch you later, guys. Cheers.